Hello. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon. I am Celeste Legaspi, and in behalf of the PRSPH board, that's the Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines, I would like to welcome you to our press conference.
Wait, later na dito.
And so I would like to welcome you to our press conference here in PRSPH. And I would like to establish, first of all, some house rules for our press conference. When you would like to post questions for our open forum, kindly post your questions on our PRSPH Facebook page, and our secretariat will pass them on to us so that we can answer them properly. Also, may I request all those to please mute yourself when you are not speaking, para we can hear each other very well. And then if you want to say something, you raise your hand for those who are here with us on Zoom. And before we begin, I would like to already say that, you know, this is new technology for all of us, and we are still in a third world country, so signals will fluctuate. So do not leave us in case we freeze or something, but we are here and we are holding the press conference for you. So at this point, I would like to introduce our chairman of the PRSPH, and that's Leo Martinez.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Sa ngalan po ng Board ng Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines, welcome po dito sa aming press conference tungkol sa mga karapatan ng mga performers sa ilalim ng intellectual property law. Naway marami tayong matutunan at matutuhan dito sa pagpupulong na ito. At sana'y maliwanagan tayo sa marami pang issues. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdalo. At ngayon po,
before you proceed, Leo, I would like to introduce each member of the board of PRSPH. So you have met Leo. So now I would like you to meet Mitch Valdez, who is our president. Would you like to say a few words, Mitch?
Unmute.
Mute your mic. There you go. Unmute your mic, Mitch.
I am trying.
There you go. You did it na.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Obviously, Celeste was referring to me, a senior citizen who is not used to technology. But because of Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines, I am here who learned this only 3 days ago. Welcome, welcome. I saw some faces and some friends. Thank you for joining us.
And I'd like to introduce to you Debbie Gaite, who is our managing director. Debbie, would you like to say a few words?
Hi, magandang hapon sa lahat. Abang lingkod niyo po, Debbie Gaite. Welcome to the very first press conference of PRSPH.
We also have Mel Villena, who is a trustee of the board of PRSPH.
Hello. Mabuhay po kayo. Magandang hapon sa Pilipinas. At kami ho ay nagagalak na kayo ay nakatalo ngayong araw na ito. Exciting po sapagkat marami pong i-announce at sasabihin ng ating mga magigiting na kasamahan ngayon sa screen. Mabuhay kayo. Enjoy the afternoon.
And we'd also like you to meet Attorney Rod Vera, who is our corporate secretary and legal counsel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Aside from being the legal counsel and the corporate secretary, I'm also the least famous among the board of trustees. And I'm here to help the PRSPH in all their legal requirements and legal needs and legal questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Rod. So may I bring back Leo Martinez, our chair. Leo?
maraming salamat uli. Sabi ko nga kanina, welcome dito sa aming press conference. At sana'y madami tayong mapulot dito. Ngayon, nais kong pakilala sa inyo ang unang magsasalita. Siyang unang guest ng press conference na ito na nais namin magsalita dito. Siya po ang chairman of the board ng National Commission of Culture and the Arts, si Mr. Nick Lizaso. Take it away, Nick.
Yes, we'd like to look for Mr. Lizaso. Hello, Mr. Lizaso. There you are, Mr. He's connecting to the audio. Mr. Lizaso? Habang naglalagay po ng earphone si Mr. Lizaso, maghihintay tayo.
Okay ka na?
Naka-mute pa rin ho ang inyong ano.
I-unmute
Yun.
mo.
There you are.
Is that better?
Okay, go.
What ba nangyari sa akin?
Okay,
Okay
na,
na
go
po?
na.
Okay na po kayo. Okay na po kayo.
So, yeah, what do I do now? Do I say something?
Yes, please. Yes.
I was out for a while. I'm sorry, no? Well, anyway, marami pong salamat sa pamunuan at membro ng Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines. I, as president of CCP and chairman of National Commission of Culture for Culture and the Arts, loved the brains and bronze of the Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines, educating and bringing colleagues together on a virtual platform in the midst of the pandemic to promote artists' rights and welfare is truly, truly worth commending. Performers' rights under the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines, while not new, is an unfamiliar subject to many stakeholders in the arts. Today is such an opportune time, therefore, to bring this matter to the light. Be rest assured that both the CCP and the NCCA support the cause of the Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines. At ito pong pagbubuklod na ito ay importante po dahil nagkakaroon ng isang kalooban, isang pag-iisip para matamo ang inyong adhikain. Importante po ito na nanasan na po namin ito nila Leo Martinez nung panahon namin ng aming pinagbubuklod-buklod ang mga membro ng culture ng Philippine the FAP Film Academy of the Philippines. It took so much time, but it succeeded. On a personal note, my kudos to Leo Martinez, to Mitch Valdez, to Celeste Legaspi, to Attorney Rod Vera, to Mel Villena and the others. With you in the board, I am almost definite that the society is in the right track. That is the track to success. Good day. Marami po salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Lizaso. Thank you very, very much for those words. It's wonderful to hear that masusuportahan po kami ng PCP at ng NCCA. And I would like now to introduce a guest of ours from the Intellectual Property Office, the IPO. Director po siya of the Bureau of Copyright and Related Rights. May I call on Attorney Emerson Puyo?
Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Ms. Celeste Legaspi, thank you very much for the kind introduction to the board and management of the Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines, to the artists and creatives present in the audience, to the media and press attending this afternoon's event, to all tuned in on FB and on Zoom, good afternoon. The Bureau of Copyright and Other Related Rights, which I head of the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, wishes to extend its congratulations to the PRSP on the launch of its information campaign. The congratulations are in order for many reasons, which I shall state later. Performers, as defined under the Copyright and Related Rights Law in the Philippines, is comprised of a broad range of creative individuals, from actors, singers, musicians, dancers, and other persons who act, sing, declaim, play in, interpret, or otherwise perform a literary and artistic work. In other words, performers are instrumentalities in bringing literary and artistic works closer or more accessible to us in the general public for us to appreciate and enjoy them. While performers may not be the owners of copyright in an original work, they nevertheless bring their own unique flavor and interpretation to such work, which then differentiates one performance from that of another. For this important role that performers fulfill, they are granted under the law certain rights which are called related or neighboring rights because of their proximate and intimate relations to copyright. Among these rights would be the power to decide or control the broadcast or communication to the public, as well as the fixation of their unfixed or live performances. These rights may be managed individually or collectively. Admittedly, however, artists or creatives, if afforded the choice, instead of dealing with the rights management, would rather do and devote their time to doing something which they do best, which is to create and, in your particular case, to perform. Recognizing this, we have always advocated for collective management to be the preferred mode of rights management. There lies the first reason why we are pleased that PRSP is relaunching and reinvigorating its presence. It is an assurance for us in the Intellectual Property Office that there is a group, a CMO for performers that we can continue to work with in terms of rights education and rights management, especially since the copyright-based sector, which is our mandate in the Bureau, is an expansive field which we cannot cover all the time. Second, no law is ever complete and ideal given the rapid changes in the social, cultural, political, and technological landscape. In instances where the law falls short, a CMO like PRSP would be our ally and co-advocate in pushing for the necessary reforms in legislation and or amendments in regulations in order to address the gaps in the law or regulation. Regulations being in the power of the IPO to decide and to promulgate, we look to PRSP as our consultative and dialogue partner. In the two-day International Copyright Forum, which was held yesterday and Thursday, and organized by IPO, one of the resource speakers we have invited is Ms. Debbie Gaite, the General Manager of PRSP. In her presentation, she raised several issues confronting the performer sector, some of which we have been highlighted, reinforced, and made urgent with the ongoing health pandemic. In particular, she mentioned the following: improvement of the provision on remuneration rights for audiovisual performances, accession of the Philippines to the Beijing Treaty on Audiovisual Performances, and implementing rules and regulations on the said treaty. Allow me to give an update, therefore, on the Beijing Treaty. All supporting documents on the Philippines' accession to the Beijing Treaty has been forwarded by IPO to the Department of Foreign Affairs in April 2020. We are now awaiting the certified true copy of the treaty text from the World Intellectual Property Organization before the documents are forwarded to the Office of the President for approval and signature. On the other two issues, The IPO BCRR has taken good note of them. We will work on the drafting of the necessary implementing rules and regulations at the soonest possible time. While we have never stopped working with PRSP for us in the Bureau, today's events signal a renewed and even stronger commitment by PRSP to advocate and fight for performers' rights, to cover and include more performers within its fold or its membership. In response, I echo the commitment made by our Director General during an informal discussion with some members of the PRSP board to continue working with the group for the benefit of creatives, artists, and in particular, performers. Again, our congratulations to PRSP on this occasion. More power to the organization and mabuhay po kayong lahat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Cuyo. And this ends our presentation. I was kidding because it was a large topics and a range of topics that we were going to cover. So thank you very much. Na it is out there already, and we will just try to break it down in more, how do you call this? Understandable terms like civilians like me. But we're very, very happy to know that we have the support of the Intellectual Property Office Philippines. So thank you very much. And now I would like to present to you a short explanation of how we came about forming PRSP. Slide, please. If you have noticed our invitations, you will see our basic message, which is alamin mo ang rights mo. As Attorney Cuyo said and Mr. Lisaso said, the Philippines needs to be a little bit updated regarding our performers who do not really or are not aware of their rights. In the international community, this is already standard practice. If you're asking how come in Hollywood or in Europe, all the performers are united, is because precisely this, they have been briefed time and again regarding their rights. Now, regarding the history of why we put up the Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines, in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago, I, yours truly, in the late 90s, noticed that when I turn on the television, in the local channels, local pa lang noon, wala pang mga kung ano-ano, my works were being shown and replayed on all the channels. I mean, you turn to any channel and there I was. And so I was wondering, because I saw advertisement and commercials in all these, what they used to call at that time, replays, I was wondering if there was any way that not only myself or and also all the other performers na kasama ko doon can be compensated. At that time, we just thought it was compensation. And that's why we searched for someone to help us legally. And because we knew that Celeste was related to then Senator Raul Roco, we looked for him and presented our plight. And lo and behold, he was na pala filing what is called the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. And at that time, in the late 90s, there was still no masyadong specifications regarding how a performer can be remunerated. So it was all kasi at that time mga copyright or owners. So last minute, he inserted in the bill remuneration for performers, or as Attorney Cuyo said, neighboring rights because we are the interpreters, or related rights because we are the interpreters of that original copy. Slide, please. There. Now, I will go back to my code. This is the intellectual property rights property code of the Philippines. It provides remuneration for performers. Slide, please. Why? Who are the performers targeted under law? As Attorney Cuyo has said, all actors, performers, singers, dancers who declaim or play or interpret and publicly perform literary and artistic work, that is a performer under the law. Slide, please. So, there is now this organization that we formed to link up with that description to collect Performers' Rights Society of the Philippines. It can collect for all the performers your remuneration rights only because, as Attorney Cuyo said, it is very difficult for each performer to go to each broadcast studio or record label producer and demand a certain number of rights, which, by the way, you will have to submit proof of all your works, how many times it was played, where, all of those things. Therefore, PRSHP has taken on the responsibility and the function of doing all of this for you. It can collect for you with all the staff and the excellent training that we have had. Next, please. Okay. PRSP is a bunch of performers started by performers themselves. And we have been fortunate na we have found legal, how do you call this? Legal counsel through the different friends in the law and in the legal world. And we have found also a lot of support from the international affiliations that when they discovered that there was a local collecting society, then a lot of them contacted us and said that they are willing to represent us. Next, please. Now, who are these, like Attorney Cuyo mentioned, what is the performer? What does it mean that there is a fixated right? Yun lang pong yung pag gumawa kayo ng taping or ng movie or nag-concert kayo o musician kayo, pagkatapos re-record and stored in whatever available technology at that time. Sa akin po, nag-umpisa sa yung tape na iniikot. Pero ito po ang tinatawag na fixated rights. Next, please. A performer, gaya ng sinabi dyan, can demand payment for his fixated right. Pag nag-replay ang TV, then pwede na ho kayong maningil. Pag may concert, kagaya ng sinabi ko, pwede na po maningil yung gumamit at nag-replay or reproduce nung inyong concert or whatever venue that you play in. The bands, if somebody records your video or your record, then, and if before the radio stations played it, and then now it is already digital and we are fast, the Philippines is fast catching up with the digital rights, then you can collect and PRSPH will collect on your behalf. Slide, please. Sa mga actors po, ayan, yung mga riniplay ng mga works ninyo, kagaya dun sa mga uso ngayon na may mga television stations na may cable na pinapalabas, lahat ng mga pelikula ninyo, andoon po pwede pong maningil ang PRSPH on your behalf for the use of your works. At ngayon po ay lalo na sa pandemic ngayon, nagpunta na po tayo sa mga digital showing of your works. Next, please. Ayan po, sa music performance, nandyan na po yung sinabi ko na pag tinugtog yan anywhere sa mga malls, with the intention po of earning a profit from the venue like malls, restaurants, etc., para ma-enhance yung kanilang ambiance o maging masaya ang kanilang clientele, yun po, pwede na po maningil doon. Kasi po kagaya ulit ni Celeste, siya po yung reyna ng malls na pipe-in music na saranggola ni Pepe. Pagkatapos po, hindi pa po siya nako-compensate. Next, please. As I said, mahirap po maningil ng isa-isa, kaya the Intellectual Property Code allows artists to sign up or assign their rights, ika nga, so that collective management organizations or ang tawag dyan po, CMO, can collect for you. And then, syempre po, meron pong private and confidential, if you so desire, data, which we, if you ask for it, we will let you know, but on a one-on-one basis. Hindi po yan lalabas sa any venue. Next, please. Our goal na Performance Rights Society of the Philippines is the accredited collection managing organization for audiovisuals, for music, at kami ay tumupad sa lahat ng legal laws of the land and international laws of collection. Nandun po locally yung Bureau of Internal Revenue. Bukas po ang aming mga papel at mga numbers kasi po talagang may auditing yan and we have to answer to the auditing of the international organizations. Nandiyan po nga yung Securities and Exchange Commission, yung nakaregister po dyan at nagre-require din sila ng transparency. Ready kami po anytime, kaya ingat na ingat po kami na nasa tamang compliance doon sa mga ginagawa namin dahil alam po namin mahirap magtiwala ng remuneration or what is money collected for you. So anytime again that you assign it to us, you can demand that you would like to see the data that is yours. And also with the singers, that is also, and the musicians, that is also our goal. So even our auditing is shown to all the international affiliations. On that note, tignan ko lang yung kodigo ko. Wala na po masyado, nasabi na lahat. At marami pa po tayong mga gustong magsalita at magtanong. Thank you very much. Malinaw po sana yun at mamaya po may open forum. Actually, ngayon na rin po yung open forum.
So thank you, Mitch. Thank you for that. Our president. Tama yung sinabi ni Mitch, ang dami-dami naming very special guests this afternoon dito sa aming Zoom press conference. But before we introduce some of them, I would like to remind everybody that if you have questions, please post them on our Facebook page para makuha namin yon. Our guests naman who are here with us in Zoom, raise your hands para makita namin if you have a question. Pero right now, we have, as I was saying, marami kaming special guests. And one of them, galing pa sa Hollywood. And I would like, I saw them here kanina, si Ruben and Janet Nepales. All the way from Hollywood, Ruben and Janet, they were a long-time PDI entertainment writer and members sila ng Hollywood Foreign Press Association. And we're very proud kasi they're very instrumental in the putting up of Golden Globe Awards. In other words, kung wala si Ruben at si Janet, walang Golden Globe Awards. So, and very soon, Ruben will be seen in Rappler. And that's Janet also there with him. So they're here with us just to greet and
Hello.
say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's nice to see all of you straight from Hollywood.
Mabuhay ang PRSP. Congratulations.
We wish we were there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ruben and Janet. And dahil sa nakita ko kayo, gusto kong ipagyabang yung aming mga foreign affiliations. So, alam niyo po, meron po kaming mga, we were very fortunate. Mitch was talking about it earlier, na we have foreign affiliations and we have to be, we're very proud that they trust us to collect for their members. And I would like to show you a slide that will show you exactly kung ano-ano yung aming foreign affiliations. Can I have that slide, please? Yes, there, it's coming on soon. We have an affiliation in Korea with the Federation of Korean Music Performers. And we also have affiliation with CIPRA, that is in Japan, Center for Performers' Rights Administration. And we are also affiliated with Cobalt. And later, Debbie, our managing director, will talk at length about Cobalt. Aside from those, these are all music CMOs. Aside from that, we have affiliations with the Uganda Federation of Music Industry. Kasi napakarami ho nating mga films at saka television shows na lumalabas sa Uganda. And then we also have an affiliation with Actores Sociedad Colombiana de Gaston, which is in Colombia. So medyo very, very proud kami of those foreign affiliations. And we would like you also to know that Debbie and our staff were trained under excellent standards in December of 2018. They were in a training program for performers, performers' rights management in Japan under CIPRA. So yan ho ang aming mga pinagmamalaki. And now Debbie will talk about more at length about our foreign affiliations. Debbie?
Thank you very much for that, Celeste. Sige. Tulad ng sinabi niya, no, we are affiliated with a lot of foreign organizations. Sila mismo ang humanap sa amin because there are many of our films, TV shows, and music that are being played or performed overseas. May we have the slide, please? So we signed bilateral agreements, which means they will collect for us and we will collect for them. So you see, we are now representing a lot of foreign performers. Okay, this is So here you will see some of the performers from overseas that we are now representing in the Philippines. These are performers from Japan, such as Toe, Baby Metal, Coffee, World Order, and Towate. Siyempre sa Korea, from FKMP, we now represent Blackpink, Momoland, and BTS, all of K-pop. Now, we also signed, as mentioned, a unilateral agreement with Cobalt Music. Cobalt is a very large music company that has publishing, record labels, and now neighboring rights management also. Now, we will show you now the website of Cobalt Music, where you will see the artists that they represent. Among these are Dua Lipa, Barry Manilow, Barry White, Carly Simon, Carly XCX, Sia, and Nelly the Rapper. So ito yung mga nire-represent natin ngayon sa Philippines. No? On their behalf, we collect. Now, our partner in Korea, which is FKMP, or the Federation of Korean Music Performers, sent their support through a letter, expressed their support to us through a letter. They visit us every year, sometimes even twice a year. Doon ka-supportive ang ating Korean friends. And they represent over 20,000 performers. And in the future, ito sa mga susunod na taon, they will be representing us naman in Korea. Kung merong cable channels doon or may mga radio stations who play our music, you can collect for us. All right. Also, we received a letter of support from CPRA Gedankyo, which is the only performers organization in Japan. This is from the president, Mr. Joe Sakimoto, who has been very supportive and helpful to PRSPH. In fact, bukod sa nabanggit ni Celeste that we were trained there in 2018 for a whole week. We are now working together with SCAPR or SCAPR, which is our International Federation for Performers Organizations. We're organizing now round 2 of our training before the pandemic. So dahil hindi pa safe mag-travel, ipopostpone ng konti ang schedule, but matutuloy pa rin. Now, all of these will work for you, especially yung performers now that we have watching us in music and in movies. But it will not work if you are not a member. So you have to join. You have to join, and we remind you that membership is free and it's easily available on our FB page. You can download the forms, sign them, send us the scanned copies, and you become a member. It's easy, very easy. Okay, there you go. So you just go to our website and you will see there the downloadable forms for membership. And I give back the floor to Mitch. Please unmute. There you go.
Thank you. Yes, Debbie, pardon us. We have slight bragging rights regarding, because we welcome from the international community the belief and their endorsement that we are the credible performers organizations to represent all of them, to collect on their behalf. And now we are turning our eyes towards local performers who need to catch up regarding what their rights are. But before that, since I said bragging rights, can I let you know that we have also 2 national artists with us, 1 national artist for dance, Alice Reyes, and 1 national artist for music, which is Ryan Cayabyab. And I am not familiar with my political information, but we have Sir Erin Tanyada, who is also watching us, if he is, correct me, a senator still. And then we have from the actors with the letter K, we have Cherry Pie Picache, Isa Calzado, all of these beautiful guests and performers who would like to know more about their rights. And welcome a columnist respected in the cultural and classical music world, Mr. Pablo Tariman. And also, that's about it for the meantime. The next part is a talk, because this is 2 performers' rights, actors, audiovisual, and music performers. So there's also Mr. Res Cortez, who has been with us from the very, very beginning. But first, maybe we can hear a few words from a respected actress or a wave, Cherry Pie Picache. Cherry Pie. There she is.
Yes, I am here.
All right.
Magandang hapon ho sa kanilang lahat. Nagpapasalamat po kami at andito kami at inanyayahan nyo and for welcoming us. Kasama ko rin po bago ko po ibigay yung statement ng galing po sa aktor, spelled with a K.
Yeah.
Yes, kasama ko rin po ngayon hapon ito si Iza Calzado. Ito po, ayan. Yan, bati ka muna, Isa.
Hello, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for having us here. Thanks, Ms. Pai.
Thank you.
Ngayon po, ibabahagi ko yung sharing naming mga aktor. So nabanggit ko po, ako po si Cherry Pie Picache, isang aktor. Maraming beses na nasabi na sa simula ng pandemya, ang entertainment industry ang unang nasara. Sa pagsasarang ito, libo-libong manggagawa sa telebisyon, pelikula at digital platforms ang nawala ng hanap buhay. Lalo pang humirap ang kondisyon ng ipasara ng isang komite ng Kongreso ang ABS-CBN. Kasama sa mga nawalan ng pagkakakitaan ang daan-daang aktor. Dahil ang aktor po ay hindi lang yung mga may pangalan na nagiging bida sa teleserye o sa pelikula. Aktor din ang turing sa supportive actors na gumaganap bilang kontrabida o barkada ng kontrabida o kaibigan ng bida o pari na nagkakasal sa bida o doktor na gumagamot sa biktima ng kontrabida. Kasama bilang aktor ang tinatawag na atmosphere, background extras. Sa kanila, mas malaki ang nawalan ng pagkakataon para kumita ng kanilang kabuhayan. Marami ang mga nag-aakala na madali po ang aming trabaho, yung umarte. Tatawa, iiyak, ngingiti o magpapatawa. Ang hindi alam ng marami, ang mga ginagawang ito ng isang aktor ay pagsunod sa script at sa direktor upang buuin ang isang kwento. Kung gayon, ang pagiging aktor ay pagiging taga-kwento rin. Kwentitista po, storytellers. At ang mga kwento ang siyang nagbubuo sa kaluluwa ng isang bansa. Totoo, may mga pelikula na pinupuna dahil wala raw silbi sa pagsusulong ng kamalayan ng mamamayan. Pero ito ay mga kwento na sumasalamin sa kasalukuyang kultura at kung ganoon ay dapat pansinin sa ganoong sukatan. Bahagi ng isang aktor ng pagkukwentong ito. Ang aktor, gaya ng ibang artists, ay sundalo ng kultura. Manggagawa ng kultura, manggagawang pangkultura. Sinusuri at sinisingil ang nakaraan, sinasalamin ang kasalukuyan, at hinahamon ang darating pa. Kaya siya mahalaga. Kaya mahalaga ang maging artist o cultural worker. Bukod sa mga pagkukwento ay malaki rin ang ambag ng mga aktor ng film and television industry sa kaban ng yaman ng bansa. Maraming trabaho ang nililikha, malaki ang buwis na binabayaran. Sa isang pag-aaral ng Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines at World Intellectual Property Organization, noon pa lamang 2013 hanggang 2014 ay nakapag-ambag na ng 661 bilyong piso sa ekonomiya o 7.34% sa gross domestic product and copyright-based industry sa Philippines, kung saan nakapaloob ang pelikula at telebisyon. Kaya importanteng matulungan ang mga industriyang ito. Kaya mahalagang maalagaan ang mga sundalo at manggagawa ng industriyang ito. Nagawa ng ibang sektor na magtulungan at magdabayan upang matawid ang hirap ng pandemya. Ibig sabihin, magagawa rin ang sektor ng mga artista na magkaisa, magdamayan at magtulungan para hindi kailangan umasa sa ayuda ng gobyerno at sa hilip ay maipagmalaki na kaya siyang bigyan ng disenteng pamumuhay ng kanyang sining, ang pag-arte. Sa ganyang konteksto, nabuo po ang aming samahan, ang aktor. Isinulong ang kagalingan o welfare ng artista sa pelikula, telebisyon, entablado, o anumang audiovisual format. Tiyakin ang pagpapaunlad ng galing o skills ng isang aktor at maging responsableng kabahagi ng paglikha ng kwento at kaysaysayan. Narito kami bilang isang artista, bilang isang aktor para makinig sa plataforma ng PRSP. Ano ang maidudulot nito sa amin bilang isang aktor? Ano ang epekto nito sa pakikipagtrabaho namin sa mga producers ng pelikula at network? Malaking bagay po para sa amin na makinig at nagpapasalamat po kami sa mga namumuno rito. Mga ginagalang po sa industriya, andyan po sila Ms. Celeste Legaspi, Ms. Mitch Valdez, Mr. Leo Martinez, Mel Villena, kasama pang isang matagal na nagpatakbo ng PhilSCAP, si Ms. Debbie Gaite. Mahalaga sa amin, mga aktor sa pelikula, telebisyon o sa digital format, napakinggan ang inisyatiba ng PRSP dahil ito ay pagtulong ng aktor sa kapwa-aktor o ng aktor sa kanyang sarili upang mabuhay ng maayos at may sapat na ginhawa. Ang maibigay sa aktor ang para sa kanya ay pagsusukli ng pagmamahal na inihahandog namin sa film at television industries. So maraming salamat po at mabuhay po ang PRSP.
Thank you very much, Cherry Pie. Thank you.
Salamat po.
Thank you. Salamat for being here and adding so much beauty to our press.
Thank you, Celeste. Thank you po. Thank you for having us. Thank you po.
We have another special guest here, si Chris Miliado, who is the Vice President of CCP. And he's always the one overseeing Cinemalaya. And Cinemalaya has always been very, very successful. And perhaps we can hear from him how Cinemalaya has pivoted to the digital times now because we cannot go to CCP. And maybe he also has questions for us that we can help answer. Chris?
Yeah, maraming salamat. Bago ang lahat, bago siguro doon sa Cinemalaya, nang pinapakinggan ko itong paglunsad ng association na to, ay kaagad may naisip na paano ba pwedeng mag-engage yung Cultural Center of the Philippines. As you know, CCP, some of you might know, CCP already has a relationship with a collection management organization which is PhilSCAP. Yung PhilSCAP, yun yung asosasyon naman of composers, authors, and publishers. And we've continued throughout the years and until the present dealing with them as a collection agency. So this is definitely a welcome development dahil nakikita nga namin yung gap, yung puwang, no, na yung sa performers natin, specifically sa CCP, ito yung mga performing artists sa theater, music, dance, no, ay hindi sila covered by it. So we welcome this and we see our engagement initially in two ways. One, as an institution that showcases a lot of the works of these artists, baka katulong kami in terms of recruiting and encouraging them, especially dito sa performing artists natin, to join your association, in order to facilitate yung kanilang sustained income even after the live iteration of their performances. Pangalawa, siguro makakatulong din ang CCP in terms of parang consolidating all of this information and data that might be helpful for the growth of this. And in the long durée, I think ang pinaka-importanteng maging impact ng association na to is this will be strategic in terms of pushing our industry into what we call a creative industry. Matagal na kasi natin pinapangarap ito, no? Pero dahil kalat-kalat nga tayo at hindi tayo organized into guilds and associations, we haven't come up with a system in terms of monetizing and really giving the proper value to the work of our artists. So definitely, I think malaki yung ambag ng association na to in terms of pushing what we have right now into the level of industry or creative industry. So thank you very much for this initiative. Although it brings some questions, and maybe this could be that you don't have to answer it right now, baka later sa question and answer forum. Una-una, anong kaibahan nito in terms of PhilSCAP at anong coordination ninyo with PhilSCAP as a collection agency? Pangalawa, how do we deal with artists gaya ni Maestro Ryan Cayabyab na hindi lang siya composer, author, kundi rin performer? Ibig ba sabihin nito, dalawang asosasyon yung kailangan naming we have to deal with two associations, no? And I'm sure marami pang ibang ganong mga nuances, but these are nuances, but these are things that just occurred to me. And pangatlo, I think initially na answer na to ni Miss Debbie, yung connections nga with international collection agencies. Dahil nga, as you know, sa CCP also, nagkakaroon ng mga ganong collaborations between local artists and international artists. Yun lang po. Thank you very much. At saka, tamang-tama ito dahil nga we've really migrated aggressively online. And of course, questions come up. Paano yung trabaho ng mga artists doon na nandun sa digitally communicated ngayon sa online? Paano ba sila mababayaran? And I think this question isn't only because of the pandemic and because of survival issues brought out by the pandemic, but I think is something that we have actually considered in the past. But this pandemic only sped this process up. And I think this is where strategically this initiative falls into. So maraming salamat for the initiative, and I hope this really starts up our aggressive moves and substantial moves towards making our sector an industry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Maraming salamat, kaibigang Chris Meliado ng CCP. Ngayon po naman ay may gusto rin magbigay ng kanyang statement na isa ring artista. Ang pag-uusapan niya ay ang kanyang experience yung sa mga pinalalabas abroad. Si Mr. Res Cortez. Pasok, Res.
Ayan. Sorry. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita nyo sa akin dito. Unang-una, gusto ko rin magpasalamat sa PRSP sa pagsuporta sa industriya ng pelikulang Pilipino sa mga nakaraang congressional hearing. Naandun ng 100% na suporta ng PRSP sa industriya, sa pakikipaglaban namin sa ma-regulate ang working condition at ma-implement ang safety and health guidelines sa paggawa ng pelikula. Lalong-lalo na ngayon na nasa panahon tayo ng pandemya, na sabi nga ni Cherry Pie kanina, unang-unang naapektuhan ng paggawa ng pelikula dahil ito ang unang industriya na natigil ang trabaho, na naawa nga ako at natutunaw ang aking puso dahil marami sa aming artista ngayon ay napunta lamang sa pagtitinda, pag-deliver ng mga pangangailangan sa mga bahay-bahay habang tayo'y nasa lockdown. At marami nga nagre-react sa mga kasamahan ko sa pelikula na kailan daw maipapatupad ang ating pagtanggap ng royalty. At kaya itong presko na ito, itong forum na ito ay napapanahon dahil sana ma-realize ng aming mga kasamahan sa pelikulang Pilipino, mga artista, at hindi lamang artista kundi lahat ng mga manggagawa. At ako ay isa sa mapalad na naka-experience ng makatanggap ng remuneration na galing ho ito sa aking ginawang pelikula na ang title ay Great Raid na na-produce ng Hollywood production. It's a movie for television at nakatanggap ho ako ng residual 2 years ago at kaya napaka-importante ho yung international affiliation ho natin dahil meron ho tayong counterpart sa iba't ibang parte ng mundo, sa iba't ibang industriya ng pelikula na nagmo-monitor ng ating pelikula at yun, yung importansya ho ng affiliation katulad ng binanggit kanina ni Debbie Gaite at ako ho ay nakatanggap na ho ng royalty or ang tawag nga nila sa Australia ay residual. Ito ho ang aking teka. Sandali. Ayan. Ito ho ang last na natanggap ko na royalty galing ho sa Australia. Ang counterpart ho natin doon ay ang Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance. Yan ho ang collecting agent ng Australia. Ito ho ay nagkakahalaga lamang ng $72.59. Pero pangatlong taon ko na ho nakakatanggap ng residual. Galing ho sa pelikulang Great Raid na hindi lang ho akong Pilipinong kasama sa pelikulang yon, kundi kasama ko rin ho si Cesar Montano, Bembol Rocco, si Alvin Anson at marami pang iba. At ang unang cheque ko ho na natanggap ay $1,500 at nakakatanggap ho ako quarterly simula pa nung almost 3 years na ho na nakakaraan.
Thank you, Res. Thank you, Res. That's wonderful to know. That's wonderful to know. But yan ay nangyayari dahil member ka, di ba? Ng
Yes.
PRSPH, Res. That's why, unfortunately, sila Cesar Montano, hindi pa member. So, hindi namin makolekta for them, di ba? That's it. And you had a question, di ba? So, can we ask Attorney Rod to answer the question of Res, Attorney Rod.
Good afternoon.
So Attorney Rod, ang unang tanong ko, kailan ba tayo magsisimulang magkolekta ng remuneration dito sa ating bansa? Kasi nakakakolekta ako sa ibang bansa, pero hindi pa ako nakakatanggap ng remuneration dito sa ating bansa, sa television or sa mga pelikulang nagawa ko na lalo na ngayon, panahon ng pandemya, Diyos ko po, siguro sa isang araw, mga 10 pelikula ang nire-replay na kasama ko at kahit na nga ang role ko doon ay isang dakilang manggagahasa, alam ko kailangan ko rin or karapatan ko na may matanggap pa after nung aking compensation na dapat siguro sa pamamagitan or sa pamamagitan ng PRSP siguro dapat makatanggap na ako ng aking mga ginawang trabaho ng mga nakaraan.
Okay, Res, thank you very much for your question. To answer that, the PRSPH has been in existence for a few years now. And although I only came on board the last year or so, nevertheless, PRSP has never wavered on its promise to protect the performers. And admittedly, what has happened in the past, we do acknowledge that. But henceforward, with this new drive, this new energy that we have, we want to make sure that when we do bill these broadcast organizations in behalf of performers, we will then, of course, definitely give to the performers their just share. We must, that's why we are having this recruitment drive and this information drive to show that we are, we have renewed energy in doing our job as advocates for the performers.
Thank you. Thank you,
Celeste.
Thank you, Attorney Rod. Thank you, Res. Thank you.
Ma'am Celeste, can I add some more?
Okay.
Meron na ko idadagdag.
Okay.
Actually, natanggap ko or nakarating sa akin yung balita na meron akong residual na dapat matanggap from Australia at ang gumawa ho ng paraan ay si Attorney Rod Vera. Siya ho ang nag-guide sa akin kung paano ako magko-communicate with Media Entertainment Arts Alliance ng Australia, which is yun ang collecting agent doon na counterpart ng PRSP ay si Attorney Rod ho, na siya ang alam ko na intellectual property rights lawyer natin sa Pilipinas. Salamat, Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Rod. I was going to further talk about Attorney. Thank you, Res pala. I was going to talk further about Attorney Rod. Na he is our corporate secretary and he is our legal. Pero aside from that, Attorney Rod is a musician. He was in a band when he was younger, di ba, Attorney? And as a matter of fact, he was also an actor in a Cinemalaya movie, di ba? Ay, hindi. Saan ba? I cannot hear you, Attorney Rod.
MMFF. MMFF.
Metro Manila Film Festival. Si Attorney Rod was an actor in Metro. So pwede actually mangolekta ng remuneration rights si Attorney Rod then. But before I proceed to Debbie, I would like to inform the public that we already have questions here from Louis Ocampo that he would like Attorney Rod to answer, and also from Pocholo Concepcion, who is from Inquirer, and also a question from Nestor Cuartero, who is from Manila Bulletin and Tempo. We will answer all of those questions during the forum. Na talagang we will open for the forum. So Debbie, yes?
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Let me add lang that it is very important to have many many of the actors come in as members, because when we start collecting, we need to show that majority of the cast with us. Dahil ano yun eh, if not, then why should they pay us the full amount if you only have one or two of them from the cast that are your members? Nangyari yan sa overseas na sa Colombia. We were trying to collect for one soap opera, yung Dahil May Isang Ikaw. Pero out of the cast of what, 30, we only had 2 members. So pumunta kami sa asosasyon nung sa KAPPT para mag-recruit. Pero hindi pa rin sumali. So we ended up collecting only for 2 of our members kasi hindi miyembro yung iba. So again, reiterate, kailangan sumali kayo. You have to join us. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Debbie. Again, that's what we're saying. Kung maging members ang mas marami, then mas marami kaming magagawang kabutihan for the industry. Now, I'm very excited kasi there is a young musician who is with us. My son corrected me. He's not really very young anymore because kaedad daw ng son ko. But next to us, he's young. So and he's the son of our good friend Sampaguita, and Cowboy has told me that he would like to ask a question. So can we look for Cowboy? And can you ask your question, Cowboy? There's Cowboy. You have to unmute your mic. Please unmute Cowboy's mic. There you go. We still can't hear you, Cowboy. No. Can you fix it first? And perhaps we can fix it first and stay there, don't go away, because we need young people like you with us. And we'll go to Mitch to talk to someone here who is a very good friend of ours. The Doyen. Mitch, your mic.
Okay. Ngayon nung nag-on yung video ni Cowboy, sabi ko, kagandang batang lalaki. Ano? Anyway, we would like to acknowledge someone who represents the blooming, pre-pandemic, the blooming theater performers and musical theater performers. We consider her, she is considered the doyen of theater because my goodness, her body of work is incredible. Before, Celeste Legazpi was considered the doyen, but she had to give up her throne to give way to the young ones. And so may we acknowledge Menchu Lauchenko Yulo in the house. And if you would like to say a few words, hello there.
Hi, thank you so much for the invitation. I think this is a wonderful thing to be made aware to all performers. May I ask a question? I may? Okay. Just to expand on what has been discussed already, I was wondering, how can performers be protected on digital media? I mean, because of the pandemic, now the platform is digital, and digital media is such a large, it has such a large grasp on everything. So what are the parameters? Is it something that is only used to make money? Is the only thing we can make habol? How about things that are just uploaded randomly, that is not for monetary situations, or it goes viral because it's shared? What are the parameters in terms of our rights for when digital media is the issue? Like the parameters, and how do we deal with that? How are we protected?
Debbie?
Yes, Debbie.
All right. Hi. With regards to your question, it was a topic yesterday in a webinar at the IPO. And IPO stresses that you have the right to prevent the transmission of your work digitally. So if you want to stop transmission, Attorney Rod can probably advise you after this how to do it, but you can stop it. You have all the right. However, at the moment, there are limitations in terms of collecting, if that is the intention, because of limitations in the law, how it is stated. And that is why we are working with the IPO to put forth implementing rules on audiovisuals, particularly in the digital platforms. So right now, our laws are not nandun. So that is why we are discussing this with the IPO. But Attorney Rod, you were mentioning some time ago how you can ask a digital app or a social media app to stop transmitting a particular performance. Attorney Rod.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Mencho Yulo. No? The PRSPH, although its main drive, its main focus right now is to represent the performers in their demand or their collection for, let's give it a better word, easier to pronounce, residuals. The law just calls it remuneration here. Now, for a theater performer, normally it's not fixated in a medium that's to be broadcast. It's a live performance. So, for example, if let's say recently the El Bimbo musical was shown on YouTube, I think just the start of the pandemic quarantine. So technically, that was a rebroadcast of that performance. Now, going into particular for performers, for example, if you're in a rep play, and you know it's not being taped because it's a live performance. Now, somebody, of course, in today's age, everybody has a cell phone, they tape it. It's really hard to prevent that. If they put it up on Facebook, technically you did not give up your rights of performance, because under the IP code, you only give up your right to a performance to collect if ever it's by a broadcast organization. So for example, in your play, just maybe last year, somebody put up on Facebook, as owner of your performance, you can actually make a copyright claim or a copyright strike, let's say for YouTube. So in YouTube, you just make a copyright claim, and either you ask for it to be taken down or you ask for a slice of the pie. If they're monetized, you can ask for a piece of that. So that's what's the rights available to theater performers if their performances are fixated and broadcast without permission. Again, let me reiterate that PRSPH is not only there to be the collection agency. Under the law, under Section 183 of the IP code, if you authorize us and be a member, we can manage your economic and moral rights on your behalf. It's not just the economic rights, it's also the moral rights. So hopefully, the more people join, the more people will be educated about how they can be protected, not just for residuals, but every other right that is available under the IP code.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Menchu. Thank you, Attorney Rod. Before we continue, we would like to again say that if you have questions, please post it on our Facebook page so that we can put it together for our open forum. Meanwhile, we have other questions here in the Zoom from more people from the press. We have Rito Asilo from Inquirer, and he has a question for us, and we will answer that later during the forum, Rito, and all the other questions also that I mentioned earlier. I don't think, is Cowboy's mic okay now? It's okay.
Yeah,
now.
I'm good, Dita.
Oh, great. So
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, up to you. Go, Cowboy.
Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this forum. I'm honored to be part of it all. And my question is, how can we monetize our performances online? And if we become a member of PRSPH, will they help us?
Yes, Debbie will answer that for us, and perhaps Attorney Rod can also help Debbie. Debbie, please.
Hi, Cowboy. Nice to
Hi.
see you. As I mentioned earlier to Ms. Law, that was also part of our discussion yesterday. So what we gathered from the resource speakers and from the IPO is that as a composer, you can be remunerated. You can get your royalties from your compositions that were performed online if you use Facebook or YouTube, because those two platforms are licensed through PhilSCAP. However, with regards to performance, again, as I said, there is a certain inadequacy in our laws, because the law only specifies broadcasting organizations as being liable for rebroadcast. This one is not a broadcasting organization, it's a social media app, or it's maybe Netflix or something. So that is why we are working closely with the IPO to issue out implementing rules and regulations concerning audiovisuals, and hopefully that will cover online transmissions. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. I'm happy that Cowboy has gotten his answer. What's again marvelous is that we have another young person with us today. Again, maybe he's not as young as we young, but he's with a group that is very popular among the young, and he's the son of Sonny Nicolas, with whom I had the privilege of working with in the 80s, and also his uncle Eddie Nicolas. I was with him in the Time Machine Band, and that was way before the 80s. We have Jazz Nicolas with us. Are you here, Jazz? There you are, Jazz. And would you like to say?
Hello. Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? Hello. Thanks for having me. Yeah, good afternoon to everyone. My question is, sa panahon ng pandemic, may matutulong ba yung PRSPH? And another question is, yeah, di ba you mentioned na yung PhilSCAP gets royalties from the songwriters. I want to ask also does PRSPH also collect for like session musicians, like diba, like the drummers, the guitarists, keyboardists of recordings, kasi that's also performance, diba? Yun.
I think Mel Villena will be the best person to answer that. Mel?
All right. Di na maulit muli. That's it for you. That's Jazz Nicolas for you. One of the biggest hits today.
Yes.
Jazz, thank you for being here, huh? Okay.
Hi, Sir Mel.
That's a wonderful question. We've been dealing with that question for the past few weeks dahil in different forums also. This would be the recurring thing, no, na tinatanong specifically about session musicians. Okay. For the uninformed when it comes to yung terms na maganon. And there is a lot of people here kasi Jazz. Ang ibig sabihin po ng tinatanong ni Jazz na session musicians, these are the backbone of a material, a production. When I say a backbone, ito po yung mga manggagawa na mga musikong Pilipino na siyang tumutugtog na hindi natin nakikita because they are not featured. For example, if a drummer plays in one of Jazz's composition, siya po ay nasa recording studio lang, but that work, syempre ang mabibigyan ng paunlak at ang maraming ngayon ay merong maigting na laws concerning their rights for how to remunerate and get whatever para doon sa project na yun are the featured artists. Yan po ngayon. Ngayon, yung sinasabi ni Jazz na session musicians, these are the ones who are not seen. Actually po, ito po ang mas maraming tao. Ito po ang marami. And these people, sa ngayong mga panahon na ito, are really the ones, okay, hindi na ako mahihiya. Ito pong mga session musicians, pag pinag-usapan natin, lalo pa yung mga mabuti kayo Jazz, sikat na sikat ang banda, ang Itchy Worms. And even your drummers being featured no? Kasi kayo yung nasa entablado. But
Pa yung drama eh.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you are the composer and you are everything in there. So, wonderful because you are multi-talented, multitasking, at saka lahat ng yan. So, di ba? Ika nga, yung mga ibang musicians na hindi nakikita, ito po ang marami. Now, we would like to address that and we're trying to find ways to address that. A lot of them ngayon, okay, just to give you an idea, since hindi ho sila featured at wala na ho silang tugtog eh. Talagang walang ganyan. Some are right now playing for food. Na, hindi ba? The idea of you asking for contributions if they play whatever Zoom, whether in StreamYard, may mangyari lang. Because a lot of them do not know how to cook also and they do not know how to StreamYard. Zooming is really far-fetched sa kanyang pag-iisip because they just want to play. Now, these people there are several hundreds of these people now asking for help. Now, how are we going to be able to help them? Yun yung tanong na. Okay. Sa ngayon po, ang mga, like what Miss Debbie said and Atty. Cuyo was also explaining kanina kay Miss Menchu, it would be the same. Halos pareho lang po yun, yung collection na yun, but you also have to be a member. Itong mga nakaraang buwan na nakakuha na ng mga counting collection, only because kakaunti pa rin yung there were some issues in the past we would admit, but there are very few of us musicians na nakakaalam na may PRSPH. Kakaunti yan, and that's why we're doing this drive to invite everyone. Myself being president of AMP, kulang na lang obligahin ko lahat ng mga miyembro namin. We were just like 179 strong, ganun lang po naman kami. Pero lahat obligahin ko yun na mag-member na. Because you know why? This is the thing that we've been waiting for the past, for what I can remember, how many years I can remember. Sa ibang bansa, session musicians, the drummers, the unseen people, because they're part of a project that was recorded and being played until today, yung mga musicians noon, nung mga 1967, yung mga ganyan, ina-idolize natin yung jazz eh. They're getting quarterly ngayon because they have their PRSPH sa kanilang mga bansa. Now, alam na nila yon noon pa. Tayo, na mga Pinoy na mga musicians, hanggang ngayon, ilan sa atin ang may alam noon. So this drive is very important, and in my group, I'm just announcing this information that you just join us and makialam doon sa ginagawang pagpaigting ng law so that magkakaroon ng teeth. Yung ngayon na iniumpisahan na ito, may mga panukala na nandun na. Kailangan lang gumalaw na yon. Now, the question now is the pandemya, kung paano ngayon. Okay, there were some who got a little kaysa sa wala. Yun nga sinasabi ng marami sa mga musiko, sige na, kaysa sa wala. But then again, there should have been more. Yun yung pinaghahandaan na. Imagine, pagkatapos ditong pandemya, because this is going to pass. No? This will come to pass eventually. Now, I'm seeing a ray of light somewhere. I'm seeing that ray of light na dadating din yun Dadating din yun. Imagine, pagbukas nun, nag-grind ang ekonomiya, nag-grind tayo mga performances, pwede na ulit tayong mass gathering kasi nga yun nga kaya hindi tayo nakakapagtrabaho because we are dependent on the mass gathering. Even a band, when they gather, na pwede na magsama. Imagine the collection because this is going to be recorded. We have streaming, we have recording. With technology, yung mga works mo na umaabot ngayon sa ibang continent at lahat ng yan because we have a collecting arm already na ganito na maigting because it is being supported by all of us na mga performers. Imaginein mo yung business na papasok. Okay, I'm speaking in terms of yung mga, lalo pa yung mga hindi nakakakuha ng kamukha naming mga musiko na behind the scene. So inuudyok namin na sali na because that time is coming. Parating na yun, nandyan na lang yan. But in this pandemic, there are issues pa rin. Unang-una yung collection, and then there are limitations. Tayo, mga tumutugtog, even tayong tumutugtog, di pa nga natin alam kung paano tayo magkakaroon ng gimmick on live just to be able to play together as a band. So that in itself is another issue, and it always depends on the lockdown pa rin. So there is that. So just I hope it answers something doon sa iyong the back of your head na alam kong iniisip ng maraming session musicians ngayon.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Mel. I hope that answered Jazz's question. Actually, gusto ko rin idagdag doon sa sinabi ni Mel na hindi lang musicians ang hirap na hirap ngayon, singers din. Kasi ang hindi pwedeng gawin ay umawit, di ba? Sa publiko, sa audience. So kahit gustong-gusto namin umawit para sa inyo, hindi kami pwedeng umawit. At nagugutom din kami. Wala rin kaming mga sweldo. Buti na lang ang asawa ko mabait sa akin. So, at this point, I would like to call on our president and greet all of our other guests here. Mitch, where are you?
I'm here.
Yes. Okay, we have other guests like sila Moy and Sweet.
Board of company.
Thank you for joining us. And we have Boji Pasqua. Where are you, Kuya Boji? Nandiyan ka pa ba o iniwan mo na kami? And Louis Ocampo.
Andito pa ako.
Rito Asilo is here. We have friends from the press. And as you said earlier, Mitch, we have 2 national artists. You want to say something else, Mitch?
No, that's okay because I've been also talking. But there, our national artist for dance, for all of you who just tuned in, is Miss Alice Reyes. And our national artist for music is Mr. of course, Professor Maestro Ryan Cayabyab. Please specify if we can hear from you later or you would just like to listen.
Oh, no. Cayabyab is obligated to say something.
Okay, so we would like to already announce, if Celeste has, because the reason why you see us on our cell phones is all the information is coming out as we speak, and we don't mean to be impolite by looking down, but we have to address the developments. Yes, the developments as it happens, as people come in. May we remind the newcomers that when you need to ask a question, when we open the forum, please, in the meantime, while you're not asking a question, please mute your gadgets so that all the sound does not create a haywire atmosphere, because they told me that it will automatically look for the source of sound. And so that's why we are muting. And we have all your questions, which we will open now. In what order, I am not aware of. So who will moderate the forum for questions?
That's me. Okay.
Maybe.
Yes. We do have a question from Mr. Louis Ocampo. If he's ready, maybe we can put him now on the virtual floor. Louis?
Yes, I'm here.
There you are.
Hi.
Hello. As for on the musicians side, well, even the singers, we are asked to sign a contract for every concert. And normally, if I'm not mistaken, that contract is about giving them the right to broadcast. Broadcast in any platform, and the scary part is future and unknown formats. So as musicians and for the backup singers and everyone in that production who is required to sign that contract, and we are members. Let's say we are all members of Philippines. Basta PR. Yeah. What should we watch out for in the contract, or what should we request that they stipulate so that we will be protected for future broadcasts and replays? Let's say, call it replays. Kasi ang daming ang ganun eh. Minsan nagugulat na lang kami na, ay, nako, we all look young there, we sounded good, pero wala. But we did sign something before, and from what I remember, that alam ko one time lang yun. Alam ko dati, if I'm not mistaken, parang for airing, for one or whatever. Tapos ngayon kasi dumadami, may DVD ngayon, tapos may known and unknown formats. So can you guide us, or as members, can you help us, have a paragraph that we can tell them, please include this in the contract so that we will all be protected?
Okay. Attorney Rod, would you like to answer that one?
Okay, let me unmute. Good afternoon, Mr. Louis Campo.
Good afternoon.
All right. Contract negotiation is always a touchy issue, and each organization has their own particular set of contracts. Nevertheless, you might sign a crossroads types of contract, and so that's gonna, you don't want to be a Robert Johnson anyway at any point. No? But what is noted here in the IP code is that there's a provision here that if you sign a contract or you authorize your broadcast, you give up certain rights. But that is the right of only Article 203, which mostly is the right to authorize your broadcast, meaning you give permission, or you don't. The organization does not have to ask permission from you for rebroadcasting. But it all depends on the contract. If that's the only thing in the contract, you never give up your residuals. If that's the only thing in the contract, you always have to watch out in the contract. Am I giving up my residuals? Am I giving up my moral rights? Technically, you give up Article 203 or Section 203, which is just the right of authorizing future broadcasts in any medium, but not the residuals. So we always have to look out for, am I giving up my residuals? Am I giving up my moral rights? So that's what. So technically, of course, if I were to read the contract, I would look for that little provision.
Yes.
Did you give it up, or is it still there?
Yes.
So there is still an escape clause, if you will, if we were to really read through the contract.
Yeah. So because we do not have good eyes as lawyers do. So and it will be nice to know from our end. Let's say, kunyari, normally, kasi me, I always I bring home the contract and I try to read it in what I can, in my own little way, try to understand it. But as a member, I hope we can give it to the association, and maybe you guys, Mel, kunyari ikaw, Mel, no? Sanay na tayo sa ganito, so we can show the contract and then, paki-check na lang, ganyan.
Alin yung mga salitang header to?
Oh, yes. So, there. Thank you.
That is one of the things that PRSPH can look into.
That's right.
That we can do for our members. Now, when they have questionable contracts, we can field our resources so that they can get help about their contracts. I think that is one very worthwhile direction that we can go to.
I only charge beer. I only charge for beer. Beer's okay with me.
Madali lang yan.
Pag-grab na namin yan.
Thank you, Mr. Louis Ocampo, Attorney Rod, and Celeste. We have a question from one of our press members here on Zoom, Mr. Nestor Cuartero of Manila Bulletin and Tempo. If you can ask your question now, sir. Mr. Nestor Cuartero.
Hi, Nestor.
Yeah, hi. Okay na?
Yes.
Okay na, no? No, I was asking kanina, I think I texted it with the chat. No? What problem areas do you foresee in implementing the collection of fees, whether residual or whatever?
Who can answer? Who should answer that? Debbie?
Okay, all right. I can answer some of it, but the board can also just butt in if you can remember what we have encountered before. Initially, the main problem is that this is a relatively unknown portion of IP. Alam na nila yung author's rights, yung composer's rights, pero itong performer's rights, which are also known as related or neighboring rights, hindi pa ito talaga masyadong sikat. So, kasi lang sa kaalaman ng mga users, baka magkaroon kami ng problema to enforce it. Dahil lang hindi nila alam kung ano ito. Dalawa, yung issue ng membership. Dahil tulad nga na nabanggit ko kanina, when we go to foreign societies, they want to know sino-sino dyan sa cast ang nire-represent ninyo. Kasi otherwise, hindi namin babayaran lahat. Yun lang mga members ninyo. Dito naman sa Pilipinas, pagdating sa music, no, the law states that we have to collect together with the record labels. We cannot collect on our own. So, kailangan mag-work together ang record labels at saka ang music performers para makakollect ng remuneration or residuals from recorded music. So these are all challenges that we are now addressing by negotiating with the record labels, by doing information drives such as this, so the public may know what performers are entitled to. Would the board like to add anything?
I think you covered it. I think, diba, Nestor?
Okay. Ito po ba'y may timeline ba yung collection? Is this retroactive or current or in the future?
Future, yes, definitely. We're looking at the future. But I think, Attorney Rod, there is a prescription period for back royalties or back residuals. Meron ba tayong limit doon, Attorney?
Generally, the copyright as far as enforcement of economic rights, the law provides a time limit of 4 years. Okay. So it's retroactive 4 years. So from 2016, it's possible. If you haven't collected from 2016 till today, if it's possible, we can still ask for that.
So I know that my mamang sorbetero is using Tura since 2016 kasi nasa YouTube. So pwede pa ako mangolekta.
Yes, pwede pa. All right.
Okay. Wait, Debbie. Our friend here, Girlie Rhodes, who's presently in Boston. So it's 3:30 in the morning there. So please, can we just put her in front, in ahead kasi may question siya. Inaantok na siya. She's just keeping her eyes open like that. So Girlie, you have a question. Can we hear from you, Girlie Rhodes? There you are.
Okay. My question is, as a small independent film producer, okay, I want to take the other side. Kasi you're talking about rights, right? So for example, Celeste and I produced Larawan. Okay, as you know, Larawan was a very expensive movie to produce, and until now we haven't even gotten back our full investment in the film. We've only been able to collect about 80% of what went out, right? Now, as part of what we did to afford the film, is we sold the rights to ABS-CBN. Okay, we sold the digital rights to ABS-CBN for 15 years. Thank God it's not for in perpetuity, which was the usual custom of small movie outfits like us. No, we were able to get them to agree to only 15 years, and that financed almost half of our movie, right, including marketing. So what happens now if our actors start to, like when they see it, when it's being shown by ABS on their digital platforms, how do we pay them? I mean, we didn't even make any money from it except to finance the movie and the marketing of it. What happens to us? What's our liabilities as producers?
As far as who is liable for the payment of residuals, it is the broadcasting network and not the producers. So to make it simpler for everybody, what we intend to do is also to keep the identity of our members confidential. What we will do is to negotiate for blanket licenses. Let's say for the entire year, all the movies and reruns of TV shows that, let's say 27, will be showing isang fee lang.
Parang Phil's cap when they
Yes.
charge, when they charge performance venues. Is what you mean, right?
Yes.
So
there will be no problem.
No problem. Okay.
For
Kasi parang I remember there was a part in the contract that said something about we are responsible for all of the fees of the performers, of the actors, that we have paid for the director, the talent fees, of all of the, although it doesn't mention anything about residuals in the language of the contract, but I remember that it says that we're responsible for all fees. So I don't know if they will, technically say that we are responsible.
Well, I understand that the higher law will prevail, which is the IP law. It will prevail over the contract because it is clearly stated there who is liable. It is the broadcaster.
Okay.
Oh, malinaw naman siya. Right?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you also for your question. We are reading out the question in order of how they appear in our Zoom chat. So the next one is from Mr. Poch Concepcion of the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Poch, andyan ka pa ba? Kamusta ka na?
Hi, Debs.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. I think my question has been asked by, it's similar to what Cowboy Santos asked online about material being shown online. Example, baka nag 1 million views.
Alam mo, Poch, medyo naghahang yung audio mo, pero ang pagkakaintindi ko is your question has something to do with YouTube uploads.
Yeah.
Oo. So I hope it was answered earlier. Okay na ba?
Na pwede singilin ng YouTube, no? Because it's owned by, it's it's registered or something.
Okay. Medyo naghahang pa rin, hindi masyadong clear yung huli. Siguro try natin i-correct muna yung iyong technical first, yung technical issues natin. Wait, just a moment. Okay. We have some questions coming from Facebook also that we will try as much as possible to answer. But may we hear now from Mr. Rito Asilo, also here in the Zoom chat. You posted the question, Mr. Rito Asilo.
Hi.
Hi, Rito.
Hi.
I wasn't really aware of PRSPH until Celeste told me about this. My question, I think, has been answered partly. This is in relation to GR's question earlier. Did you reach out to the networks if they're supposed to foot the bill for the residuals? Did you reach out to them? Any feedback from them?
Actually, yes. There have been attempts before. I would like Mitch to answer this because they did try before I came in in 2018. There were attempts by Mitch and the other board members to approach the broadcasters. Mitch, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, at that time when PRSPH was very new, as mentioned earlier by the Intellectual Property Office and by the Audiovisual Protection, it was not yet required by broadcasters because they always cited that the Philippines is not part of the Beijing Treaty. It has not been, how do you call this, that they have legal rights to their ownership. However, from my very amateur perception, earlier we said that we are not questioning ownership and copyright and authorship of the work. We are in the business of the related rights, the neighboring rights, which is compensation, and this is required by the IP code, compensation for performers when you repeat the work. This is already out there. We apologize for not putting the PRSPH in more of the public perception because we have been tweaking and restructuring all the pushback from the users, the broadcasters, etc., etc. Now, with the help of the Intellectual Property Office and all the other intellectual property organizations, and now that we have the strong support of all the international organizations, hence this press conference as a call out to all performers to sign up because, as they say, there is strength in number, and when we collect as a license, a licensing body, that is definitely confidential. We will not reveal, if they so desire, who our members are, but we will collect on their behalf So now with everything in place, with the Intellectual Property Office recognizing these neighboring rights, as they say, and all the legal affiliations with all the performance societies abroad, then we will have the strength to address the broadcasters and record label producers regarding this. I hope this answers your question, but if our legal advisor would like to still respond to that, please do so.
Okay. All right. Mr. Asilo?
Okay, no need.
Yeah. Okay, okay na. Sige. Before we try Poch again, Poch, would you like to try again with your audio? You good? Okay, try it again.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, if a band uploads its songs or music videos on YouTube or others, we coordinate with YouTube, especially if the material gets many views or are shared many times.
All right. Thank you, Poch, for your question. Although it has been answered earlier, ulitin ko lang yung mabilis, no? Yung pagka-composition nila, oo. No? Yung gawa nila, oo. Pero yung performance mismo, inaayos namin with the IPO para makakolekta na as performer. And then let me just go back to a question from Mr. Chris Miliato earlier. He asked, anong difference between PhilSCAP at saka PRSPH? We want to make the clarification that PhilSCAP represents composers and we represent performers. Now, it just so happens that some people are both, so they become members of both. It's okay. There's no conflict at all. Okay, we're only going to have this press conference until 4 o'clock, Celeste. We are 5 minutes into
yes. So, are we not going to answer the rest of the questions?
Well, we're running out of time, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. But rest assured that if you log on to our FB page, we will make sure to answer all of the questions that we have received. All of us will work very hard so that we can answer your questions thoroughly and correctly. Because we lack time now, we would like to thank everybody who participated in our forum. And as they say, based on these lively questions and queries from everybody, that this is just the beginning and there's a lot more for us to do. And please be sure to send your comments and suggestions to PRSPH on the FB comments page. But most of all, we would like to invite you to join us and be part of PRSPH, because only when we are strong and we are many can we achieve all of our goals. Join us just like our next speaker did, who I hope is back with us. Is he back? He made a private to me that he's just getting his charger.
Yeah, he's there. He's there.
Oh, great, wonderful. So, as I said, just like our next speaker did, he joined us and really made us so much stronger. So please welcome our national artist, our dear friend, national artist in music, our dear friend, Mr. Ryan Cayabyab.
Hi, kamusta? Naka-unmute ba ako?
Okay ka.
Okay. I would like to congratulate PRSPH. Now that I'm a member, gusto ko sana, isa lang ang gusto kong i-contribute. And hopefully, I'll be able to do that. I wish to call out on all the young musicians, young singers, young performers, dahil kayo ang magpapopulate ng future. As a matter of fact, kung bata kayo, mag-umpisa kayo na bata as a performer, definitely, kung member kayo ng PRSPH, sigurado yan na through the years, mas malaki yung inyong residuals kasi bata pa lang kayo, nagsimula na kayo. Ngayon, bakit sinasabi yan na kailangan kayong sumali aside from dapat sumali kayo dahil bata pa, ay number 2, dahil can you imagine, lahat itong nandito ay puro mga card holders na. Ibig sabihin nun, experience, number 1. Number 2, meron silang oras para mag-work for you, para kayo ay, para alagaan ang inyong rights. Kaya yun ang gusto kong sabihin. Kaya ako sumali dahil bata pa ako at siguradong marami pa akong residuals in the future. So maraming salamat sa inyo and congratulations, Celeste. Alam ko malapit na matapos itong press con nyo, pero ngayon pa lang, lahat para sa lahat ng board members, congratulations sa inyong lahat. At yun, sana sumali yung mga bata. Yan na yan. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Ryan. Thank you.
All right. Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat, Ryan. At maraming salamat sa pagsali mo dito sa amin, dito sa PRSPH para sa atin lahat ito. Kanya ang billing ko naman sa mga nakikinig ng mga guests natin at saka mga kapwa natin performers, mag-register na kayo para makasama na kayo sa aming sa listahan ng PRSPH at sabay-sabay tayo magtatrabaho para sa ating kapakanan. Maraming salamat po.
Okay. Ako naman, Debbie Gaiti po, Managing Director ng PRSPH. Inaanyayahan kayong lahat na sumapi at mag-sign up. Ang aming membership forms ay nasa FB page. Pwede i-download. Membership is free and we look forward to having you with us. Join us. In union, there is strength. So magsama-sama po tayo. Maraming salamat.
Mel, can we hear from you, Mel?
Yun! Kuha na. Okay. Kamukha nga ng sabi ni Maestro at ni Debbie at ni kapatid na Leo, sali na ho kayo. Inaanyayahan namin kayo, lahat ng mga performers at lalo na yung aking mga katotong musiko, tatawagan ko kayo isa-isa, ididikdik ko sa mga pandinig nyo na kailangan na kayong sumali. Ngayon na yun. Ngayon na. Salamat po.
Attorney Rod, can we hear from you? Attorney Rod.
All right. Hello. Thank you all for being in this press conference and recruitment drive. When PRSPH brought me in, because of my experience working with Sir Leo and Sir Res Cortez, I've always counseled and always advocated for the performer stakeholders. So I am continuing this advocacy, and hopefully I've given protection to individuals and other organizations. I'm going to give the protection that PRSP deserves. So please, I will work with all of you. And I only charge for beer.
Thank you, Attorney Rod. Ako po, ang nakalimutan kong sabihin na ako ang Vice President and Treasurer ng PRSPH. So ako yung nagbabantay ng pera. So I would like you to know na you join because membership is free. You don't have to pay for your membership. So be sure to join us. And we can see that we have so much to learn and do. So let's do it all together, sama-sama.
Thank you, Celeste. I would like to wrap this up before 4. Thank you very much. And we know it is not yet a perfect system. Celeste mentioned membership is free. Even the board of directors and trustees is free. We have not earned any monetary compensation. We've been on this for about almost 10 years. And so this is the fruit of our very slow progress and labor because there were laws and rules that were not in place a couple of years ago, but now everybody is catching up. So we would love to represent all of you. Have a join us. Member is free of charge, membership, and the board is free of charge at your disposal, one by one.
So let's all wave goodbye.
Yay!
Bye! Bye!
Thank you.
Bye! Bye!
Bye!
Thank you.
Bye!